Hello and welcome to the Sports Resort. This is your home for all things sports. I'm your host, Gannon Cornley, with my main man, Toby, right here. Welcome. This is episode number 46. Got a great show in store for you guys today. Lots to cover. The NCAA finally coming around, finally using their brain cells. We have the NBA Finals here to talk about. Game one is on as we speak. The NHL Finals, I was very, very wrong about so far. It's not over, but we'll get into that as well. We probably won't even discuss too much about our MLB teams as there's really nothing to cover there. And so much more on this week's episode. Obviously, some great soccer that's being played as we speak as well. So we will dive into that all in this show. Any things to get us started off with before we get going, Toby?
Yeah, in terms of baseball, the reason there's nothing to talk about right now is that all of our teams are struggling, and instead of talking about anything that has to do with our teams that we don't like that are playing well, the Red Sox in Gannon's case, the Giants and Montes, we're not going to cover it. This is an all-star show for baseball, so don't ask. Don't mention, oh, you didn't mention the Cubs losing 10 straight? Nope, we're not doing that here. Strictly positive in the MLB front because we need some positivity.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Because there's nothing. The most positive thing to do is just say nothing. I mean, my mom once said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I have absolutely nothing nice to say about my Yankees. They're 3-7 over the past 10 games, currently about to fall around to be 500, and the Royals are now trying to push for worst team in the league. We're heading that way, slowly but surely.
Yep. It's all about getting to that all-star break now.
Yeah.
Just get to the break, come back like the start of the season, and we'll be all good.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. But let's get into it on this week's show. You guys already know the deal. First segment of the show titled, What Is You Doing? Highlighting some of the biggest idiots in the world of sports. I'm going to let you go ahead and go first this week.
There's a very obvious what is you doing here.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip it. I'm going to skip it for now. I'm going to go with Our Lady Rachel Nichols. And look, there's some things that I can talk a little bit more in depth about. There's some things I can't. Most of it I really can't talk about. Obviously, early in the week, a leaked audio recording of her being upset about Maria Taylor getting the 2020 finals gig. She was very upset. They pretty much demoted her to a sideline reporter. Even though she still hosts The Jump on ESPN, she was pretty upset about them giving her chance to Maria Taylor. That was met with a lot of backlash, as Maria Taylor, obviously more than qualified. She excels at everything she does. So met with some backlash on the internet. Later in the week, it turns out there's rumors that she had a pretty fun time in the bubble with a few NBA players. Jimmy Butler. And then there's a player, Ersan Ilyasova, maybe you know him, probably don't, that she may have had relations with in the bubble. The rumors are out there. They're pretty funny to look at right now. Just all the speculation. You know, Jimmy Butler, of course, he had the noise complaint coming from his room. He walked out to the police or the security, drenched in sweat in his practice uniform. They said he was dribbling a basketball in his room. Like, they don't have practice facilities that you can just go. You just dribble around the entire campus of the place you're staying. It was in his room. Spicy stuff. So Rachel Nichols, it's not even necessarily a bad what is you doing. Just like, what is you doing? Like, I don't know. And we all would like to know. They get these secret recordings on you. Just have a bad time in hotel rooms, apparently. Getting filmed behind her back and then getting her back blown out. I don't know if I can say that on here. But Um,
Man, you gotta get us kicked off YouTube.
but it is
5 minutes in the show.
it's been a pretty tumultuous week, I would say, for our girl Rachel, who is not working these NBA finals right now, which is probably good for her because the arena would let her hear about it.
Yeah. I'm gonna stay away from the infidelity stuff. I don't know. I'm not gonna put my voice into that. I don't know what's going on with what happened in the bubble.
Yes. No, it should be said that these are all rumors.
Yeah.
But she's part of my "What is you doing?" Because as it is a question, and I'm questioning some of the behavior. Like, Rachel, do you really do this?
Yeah, I'm not questioning that. I do agree with your question of what is she doing in regards to her comments on Maria Taylor. I don't think that she necessarily had ill will or like ill intent against her, but I do think it sends a pretty poor message that as much as women have fought to be on this stage, to be where Maria Taylor as well as Rachel Nichols have been, to fight to where they are now, rather. Now you're, in a way, kind of tearing down one of your own, and try to really make it more about a race thing. And what does that kind of say to like the next, upcoming women? They don't even have support from their own. So why do they think they're going to get support from men or anybody else? So I think that was a pretty poor showing, but I agree with that aspect. But that's your "what is you doing?" My "what is you doing?" Again, there's a very, very obvious one, but I'm going to leave it alone. I was going to do that, but you know what? I think that one speaks for itself. And if you don't know what we're alluding to, we'll get into it a little bit later. We'll leave it alone for now. My "what is you doing?" goes to something that happened not recently, but a very, very long time ago. As you guys know, it's just now hitting July, so we need to cover this on July 1st. But my "what is you doing?" and still "what is you doing?" goes to the New York Mets, as on July 1st, once again, had to pay our main man Bobby $1.19 million. This man has not played a day of baseball since 2001, but he will be paid $1.19 million all the way until the year 2035, when he will be 72 years of age. The true definition of getting the bag. What a great job by former Mets player Bobby Bonilla. I just don't even know what to say. Every time I hear it, it feels like it happens more than once a year. I think it occurs so often. You're like, man, that was a year ago last time we talked about this. This man got paid $1 million by the Mets again for not playing for that contract that they spread out over a gazillion years. But shout out to him. That was the definition of getting the bag. Couldn't be happier for him. Mets, I still continue to ask, what is you doing on that?
100% agree. However, Bonilla's agent, Hall of Fame worthy. If you're going to put an agent in the Hall of Fame, Major League Baseball, that's going to be the guy that's got to go. I mean, he'll be getting paid till 2035. So as often as we hear about it now, that's at least 14 more years we're going to be hearing about it.
Well, that's
Unreal.
over half our lives. Over half our lives more still to go. That's ridiculous. And we were like 4 when he stopped playing baseball.
Oh, man. The Mets.
Yeah, that is so bad. So bad. But yeah. No, that'll wrap it up for this week. Rachel Nichols, the Mets. Y'all need to stop doing whatever y'all doing. Mainly Rachel Nichols. Because she's all over the NBA Twitter sphere right now. And it ain't good. It is not good.
At least this is taking some of the audio thing away.
That is true.
She changed the news cycle just not in her favor. again.
Yeah, not another benefit. Tough times out there. But we'll just go ahead and roll right into the NBA for this week's episode, where it was not too good for you LA Clipper fans out there who had to watch your team go down in 6 games after a masterpiece put on by Chris Paul and company. Chris Paul dropping 41 points on a way to a Suns victory by 27 points in Staples Center. A truly just unreal performance. There was at one point where the Suns, midway, I believe it was at the end of the third quarter, they were only up by 7. Chris Paul scored the next 27 of the next 35 Phoenix Suns points. And by the time he came out of the game, the Suns were up almost 20 points. Truly unreal. That man put the team on his back, finally able to escape folding in the end and getting to his first ever career NBA Finals. Big shout out to him. He's still kind of annoying in my opinion, but still got to give him his props. He did what he was supposed to do. And for the Clippers, on the other side, Paul George. You let Marcus Morris outscore you in the most important game of the season. We talked about it. Paul George did step up in Game 5. You got to give it credit where credit is due. He went out there, and I even actually kind of low-key predicted that he would go off after we shamed him last episode. He did his thing. But that's the thing about Paul George. He does one thing, and you see that he has the potential, and then he goes right back to way off P ways and playoff P prime, and there we are. So the Clippers have been eliminated. I, as a Lakers fan, could not be happier. So big shout out to the Suns there. Still not happy that they knocked us out, but you know what? If we're gonna lose them, hopefully we lose to the champs at least at the end of the day. And then on the other side, real quick to recap that, lots of injuries. Unfortunately, Trae Young obviously was out for a game. We had Giannis out for multiple games, but it was Chris Middleton in the end getting it done for the Bucks as they were able to win that series in 6 as well. Going into Atlanta, pulling out the victory, and finally submitting their date into the finals for the first time in a very long time. In fact, the last time they were in the finals, they played a current Eastern Conference team in the Boston Celtics. So that shows you how long ago the Western and Eastern Conference weren't even created yet. The last time those two squared off in the finals. So big shout out to them as they're getting there now. Game 1 is currently underway as we're watching it right now. You see us both kind of look up at the TV. We're both kind of watching that, but yeah, Game 1 here between the Suns and the Bucks. Giannis is playing. A lot of speculation after him hyperextending his knee. He is out there. He's playing, doing what he can, but right now the Suns lead by 13 with 9.5 to go. So we will see how this shapes up. But what has been your observations, takes, any highlights from those closing out games in the conference semifinals, their conference finals?
Well, yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head in those conference semifinal games. So I started looking ahead to the finals. This, obviously, a finals none of us saw coming. Two brand new teams for us, as we've never seen these teams in the finals before. In fact, on the entire rosters of both these teams, we've only seen one guy in the finals before, and it's Jay Crowder. Yeah, Jay Crowder, the only one on either roster with any finals experience. So you try to figure out what's going to happen this series. Obviously, Giannis' injury was the big talking point going in, along with Chris Paul making his first finals appearance. What will they do? I've got to say, we're, 3 quarters in and some change. And I'd say Giannis looks good health-wise. The knee looks good. He had a phenomenal chase-down block. He's been getting to the basket. You know, it's obviously you can tell he's not fully back. He's not as aggressive on the offensive end as he needs to be. But I think the Bucks figured something out when they won that Eastern Conference Finals without him. that, look, Giannis doesn't have to be the primary ball handler every possession. He doesn't have to drive downhill to the basket on every possession and try to kick out to make things work. When he was out and Brook Lopez got to play in that low post, I think the Bucks realized they had something on offense even without Giannis. When you let Holiday be himself, when you let Middleton sort of become the focal point of the offense, you can throw it down in to Brook Lopez, who, by the way, is a franchise's all-time leading scorer. The Nets' all-time leading scorer, Brook Lopez. That's right. That's how talented this guy is. I think they found different ways to play the game. Giannis comes back. Obviously, they're going to have to adjust because he's still Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to attack the basket. We've seen him attack the basket tonight even. Pretty much throwing caution to the wind with this knee injury that looked so devastating in Game 4. From the Bucks' perspective, I think winning that series in Atlanta without Giannis was massive. I think they know now, we can let Giannis rest, really. We don't have to force Giannis on his bad knee to try to carry us like the 76ers did with Embiid on one leg. We don't have to force it. We've got guys who can make plays. It's not worked out too well for him tonight. The Suns, obviously, a phenomenal team and a team that I believe will win the series. But I'm expecting a phenomenal series because the Bucks, I think, figured some things out about themselves. And as we talk right now, it's just an 11-point game. 8 minutes left, a lot of time. But I think this is going to be one of the better finals that we've seen in a long time.
No, I would happen to agree with you. I think this is going to be really fun, really exciting. So exciting that our main man Connor is not even going to watch it. This is the most exciting finals he's ever been wanting. The most exciting finals he said he's been anticipating, and he said he's not going to watch it for reasons. So, but no, that made no sense to me at all. But those are just the things of Connor, the phrases of Connor. What? So you have the Suns winning. I do as well. And how many games do you think?
I'm going to go – I'm very optimistic. I'm going to go Suns in 7. I want a 7-game series. I think that would be fantastic, especially between two teams we haven't seen go there. And quite frankly, if injuries don't play out the same way, I don't know when the next time we'll see these two teams is again. So I'm hoping it goes the distance. I'm hoping it goes 7. Yeah, so I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with Suns in 7. I think that, Giannis coming back, it gives the Bucks emotional lift, but may stymie some of those other players. So I do. I like the Suns.
I think I have the Suns, like I said, as well. I would love for it to go to 7. I think that's what I'm going to ultimately root for. I think the home teams at first will kind of hold serve, but I think the Suns actually will get it done in 6. I think I see the Suns kind of taking these first 2 at home, Bucks even up the series, and then just pretty much how the Suns have done it in every series up until, actually they swept the Nuggets, but between the 2 LA teams that they played and then now, I think that they will maybe, find a way. When Stevens is tied up, maybe it can teeter over to the other side. They might lose the momentum they originally had because they were up in both series, in all 3 series previously to this finals, and they were able to pretty much saw it away, and they've done it on the road every single time. They finished the Lakers in Staples, finished the Nuggets in Denver, finished the Clippers in Staples. So I think that they're going to finish off the Bucks as well on the road in Deer Country. And, so I have the Suns in 6, but I would love for it to go to 7.
Yeah, I would not be shocked at all. The Suns, as we know, this playoffs impressive on the road. Regular season, they were the best road team. So none of us should be surprised if they go into Milwaukee and win some. But, man, these teams, they're so evenly matched across the board. And it would be way harder to pick a finals MVP, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Try to pick the finals MVP out of this group. But if I had to make a prediction there, I'm going to say CP3. And I don't even think he necessarily has to be statistically the best player. It might be an Andre Iguodala situation. Well, Yeah, so I'm going to go, Suns, my final prediction, Suns in 7, CP3, finals MVP, a crowning moment in his career, pushes him, on that pedestal with some of the greatest point guards of all time. We'll be talking about him with the Stocktons. We'll be talking about him with the Nashes, all them at the very top of the list.
Yeah, I would actually have to agree. I think I would be rooting for Devin Booker to win Finals MVP, but I do think it's pretty narrative based. And if the Suns win, especially how Chris Paul played to get them there, I think that they're going to be a strong following for him to win Finals MVP, especially if he plays decently, even if he's not the best player night in, night out. If he has several decent games out there, I think that he'll end up bringing the trophy home, which I will be fine with.
And as of now, probably has been the best player in this game one.
Yeah, in game one so far. So he already has the initial lead. They would take some type of masterful performance by Aiden or Devin Booker, or obviously Giannis and Middleton are still in the mix on the other side as well. But yeah. But no, good stuff from the NBA. It's still up for debate. I'm over here watching this Copa America penalty shootout. My boy Messi just made his. Still up there. I mean, it's still anyone's game here in game one, but plenty of time still. Suns still lead it by 11, so we'll see how that plays out throughout the night. Transition over to another finals that has been far less competitive. And, I had hope. For the Canadians, and they have been horrifying, to say the least. It all started with game one in Tampa Bay, where they got shellacked 5-1, not even close. But it was like, it's just game one. They can bounce back. I originally predicted that they'd still won in the first two games. That didn't happen, as game two ended up being 3-1. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. As long as they defend home court, anything can happen. Well, they went home and decided to give up more goals than they did when they were on the road, as they lost game 3, 6-3, in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Well, they were able to avoid the whole sweep by winning in dramatic fashion in overtime in game 4 at home to send it to another. So we shall see how game 5 will fare. That game is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time, live from Tampa Bay, as they go back to the place where they gave up quite a few goals, 8 goals between 2 games, and they only scored 2 goals themselves. So we'll see how that goes there. Really disappointing. I did not want to see the Lightning go back-to-back. Wanted to spread some love to the Canadians, but they're not living up to the end of the bargain at the moment.
Yeah, and I 100% expect this drought to continue. I think the Lightning get it done tomorrow night. By next podcast, obviously you'll have the winner, but you'll probably have to wait almost a full week to hear about it from us. Because I think the Lightning get it done tomorrow. They're such an insanely talented team. It's truly unreal. The guy that's going to win the playoff MVP, because NHL, they give it out over the course of the entire postseason, it's going to be Braden Point. In all likelihood, it's probably going to be Braden Point. And that doesn't take into account one of the best goal scorers in the league in Stamkos, a former MVP in Kucherov, the Conn Smythe winner last year, and maybe the best defender in the league, Victor Hedman, and one of the best goalkeepers in the league, Andrei Vasilevsky. All 4 of those guys are on the team. And think about it, their playoff MVP is going to be a different guy than that. That's how deep this Lightning team is. They're so talented. I know fans aren't happy. They're $18 million over the cap. And their owners are paying this luxury tax. I know a lot of traditional hockey fans, they're not big on it. But I think from a player's perspective, the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup Finals would be a huge, huge thing. Because it means that owners are going to have to start spending a lot more money on teams. They're going to have to start paying their players a lot to keep them where they're at. So if from a player's perspective, I think a lot of them are looking at what's going on in Tampa Bay right now. They're saying back-to-back finals. They're going over the cap. They're paying their guys what they should be paid, so they'll stay. Maybe you should give it a try. So I think traditional hockey fans are going to be very disappointed with the Lightning going back-to-back. But I don't know. Maybe it changes some things in the sport.
Yeah. And, I'm really interested to see how good the Kraken will be as they will be joining us very, very soon.
Yes, sir. That's going to be the most fun part of the offseason, is seeing which of your favorite players the Kraken poach, which players they take off your team.
Yeah, that's going to be really crazy, actually.
Yeah, because the Knights did it and they were good right away. So,
and they're still good.
It's still good. Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see on their offseason. But yep, so last chance to win a title with 31 teams. It's going to be the Lightning back-to-back years.
Hopefully Montreal can at least win Game 5, drag it out a little bit. And if they lose on Friday for Game 6, we don't have to go almost a whole week without talking about it.
Yeah. For us, it'd be good if Montreal could keep it going.
Come on.
And I know a lot of people, they're optimistic, and they're saying Habs in 7. I don't know about that. But
man, the mayor of Tampa Bay was asking the players to take it easy just so they could win at home. Like that's the ultimate sign of disrespect.
Yeah, I didn't really expect mayoral trash talk from the Stanley Cup Finals to enter into play, but the Tampa Bay mayor, she must have a huge ego on her at this point with all the winning they've been doing down there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just got a big ego about herself.
Kansas City needs to keep it up because I think Tampa Bay is trying to take one of the NBA bids away from us, and we can't have that happen.
Raptors would have fared better had they come to KC.
Yeah.
Maybe they would have made the playoffs. Who knows?
Most definitely.
They didn't even make the play-in tournament. That's 10 teams.
That's tough.
Hate to hear it.
Yeah, you do. Well, we already flamed our MLB teams, so we're not going to bore you guys to death this week with how pitiful all of our teams have been. We're going to highlight stuff that has just been nothing but pleasantful, and that is reading off the names of the people who have made the All-Star game. All-Star rosters are out. All of our teams clearly need a break as we do not know what the heck is going on. But at least we can highlight some of our teams. I'll let you kind of break these down. You kind of have a whole list here. I'll let you kind of break down everyone who's going to the game, who are the reserves, and all that.
Yes, so MLB All-Star Game, probably the jewel of the MLB regular season. A lot of people, they don't like it. It's too long. It's over the summer months when everybody's relaxing. We're not taking it serious. But the All-Star Game, everybody takes serious. And something cool the MLB does is they give every team an All-Star. So no matter how bad you are, the Diamondbacks, for example, no matter how bad you are, you will have a guy participate in the game. That's pretty cool stuff. Even cooler for us here in Kansas City, the fans across the nation voted our catcher, Salvador Perez, to start for the American League lineup, which is all love. Everybody loves Salvi. It doesn't matter where you're from. I think anybody thinks Royals, they think of Sal Perez right away, mostly because they don't know anybody else on the team now. Because all of our World Series team is gone. But he'll be joined by Vlad Guerrero Jr., the top vote getter, the stud down in Toronto. His teammate Marcus Semien at second base is going to start. Teoscar Hernandez for Toronto in the outfield is going to start. Gannon's guy, Aaron Judge, starting in the outfield, representing the Yankees. Mike Trout, despite playing like 30 games, was voted in. The fans love Trout. Obviously, his spot, he'll be replaced probably by one of the upstarts on a really, really bad team like Cedric Mullins or Adolis Garcia. But Mike Trout, he gets the nod, so he is a starter per se. Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, a pair of Red Sox, and Shohei Ohtani, the starting DH and a pitcher named to the All-Star game. First time that's ever happened that somebody's been named as a pitcher and a hitter. His historic season continues. National League starters, Buster Posey at catcher. The tweet the Cardinals put out telling the Royals fans to go vote for Yachty and the Cardinals fans will vote for Salvi worked out for one of them, but did not work out for the worst one, as Buster Posey of the Giants will be starting at catcher. He'll be joined by Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves, along with Freddie Freeman. A Cardinal did make it, Nolan Arenado at the hot corner. Adam Frazier for the Pirates, currently tied for the league lead in hits, will make the team. A lot of people don't even know who that is, so very cool that he got voted in. They saw the numbers, couldn't keep him off. A pair of Reds outfielders, Nick Castellanos, who has a knack for hitting home runs at the worst possible times, will be joined by his teammate Jesse Winker in the outfield. And, of course, in the National League, Fernando Tatis Jr., as if there was any surprise. Connor, of course, crying himself to sleep, thinking about Nolan Arenado having to share a field with him defensively.
Tatis. The boy.
And those are your starters. There's a lot of reserves. We don't even need to get into all the reserves. The unfortunate thing I have to report is that 3 Astros made the team. Yes, it's unfortunate. Some of them were going to have to make it.
You couldn't vote them out.
My mistake. 4 Astros made it if you include the relief pitcher.
Come on, MLB.
Yep. Four Astros. Now, to be fair, they lead their division. They're a good team. Whatever.
I refuse to believe.
And I hope they get booed mercilessly. It's the Colorado Rockies are hosting the All-Star game, so a team that has relatively no beef with the Astros whatsoever.
No.
Hopefully the fans show up and they boo them as they rightfully deserve. This is still a very, very anti-Astros
The Rocky fans
podcast.
had nothing to celebrate pretty much all year. This is one thing they can look forward to.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, 100%. You got to boo the Astros while you got the chance, because they may, and I'm not even sure if they do, they may come to Colorado for one series. 1, 2, or 3 game series. So this is the chance. Step up and be heroes, Rockies fans, and all MLB fans to make the trip. Really, the only thing noteworthy discussion about the All-Star teams, because I think all the guys selected were probably worthy, but there's a lot of guys who were worthy that weren't selected. And a lot of people were upset. Max Scherzer for the Nationals not going to the All-Star game despite having a 2.1 ERA. No Dodgers pitchers. That means no Kershaw. No Walker Buehler, who has only 1 loss on the season. A 2.35 ERA, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He won't be joining. And a lot of people very upset. The only guy they're upset about that I've seen, Aroldis Chapman for the Yankees. We said we weren't going to talk about it because we don't want to get Gannon going on a rant here. But Aroldis Chapman made the All-Star team despite having an ERA of almost 30 over the past 2 weeks. Has made the All-Star team over some very, very qualified relievers in the American League, some of whom play for the Rays and Royals, so that's a little bit unfortunate for myself. But hey, those are the talking points.
He's still one of the best in the business. Don't get it twisted.
Oh, he's a fine reliever. It's just that his numbers, they don't measure up to some of these other guys. And the Major League, the managers this year, I think they did a fantastic job at putting in new talent, guys that we haven't seen before, maybe leaving some of the big names out, like a Scherzer, like a Walker Buehler, like a Clayton Kershaw, leaving those guys out to get in, the Milwaukee starters, Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. I think it's good for the game, because I think more players kind of getting their names, their faces out, their personalities. That's what comes with being an all-star. So kind of cool to see a bunch of new guys go. But Yeah, Aroldis Chapman going back. That is not what the fans wanted to see.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I thought he was making the trip there to pitch the home run derby, like he's been doing the past few weeks. But he will be participating in the game, we think.
Yeah. In the end, I'm pretty happy as long as the person who Connor, quote unquote, the Yod Father, is not in there. Thank God he's out of there. I love how St. Louis should have tagged the Royals in it, and the Royals had no response whatsoever to that nonsense. Talking about we can put our barbecue beef aside. There's no beef. There's no rivalry between barbecue.
No, I think
Like what?
no. St. Louis can stick to fried ravioli, which is good. I'll give St. Louis that. They can stick to their fried ravioli, and we'll handle the barbecue.
They can have their bread. We'll do barbecue around here.
Yep, there wasn't any rivalry there.
Yeah.
And yeah, shout out to JT Real Muto for the Phillies for getting in. That's just good stuff.
It is. I couldn't, outside of the Astros making it, I love the list. And I mean, they had, some of them had to make it.
Exactly, yeah.
I love the list.
Yep. I don't think you'll find, other than Connor Ziotti, maybe Monte being upset Machado didn't make it. You probably won't hear too many.
I don't think Monte probably.
No, his
not Machado.
yeah, his guy got in. Tatis got in. That's who he likes the Padres for. He calls Tatis his Padre, but in English. And so yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
he likes the rest of the team. He tolerates them while the affair with Tatis goes on. But
oh no.
Yep. That's a very quick rundown of the rosters. Obviously there's the full list out there you can go see. Some guys, they'll even come back in. They'll replace guys who are hurt. Kyle Schwarber, for example, got injured right before. So somebody in the National League will take his spot. Injuries like that seem to happen all the time. Tyler Glasnow, he should have been named an All-Star even though he's hurt for 60 games. So I wasn't that upset he wasn't, but hey, that's the All-Star roster. Game takes place a week from, while we're filming this, a week from Tuesday night. It'll happen the 13th. Home Run Derby the night before. Salvador Perez is competing. So a Royal in the Home Run Derby. Something that I definitely was not expecting this season.
Yeah.
But here's Sal Perez to represent. And he gets to do so in the most hitter-friendly ballpark in the entire league. So there should be fireworks aplenty.
Yes, sir. No, I'm very happy about that. So good, all good things there. But we move from one great thing to something even better, and that is our top 10 list for the tight end in this upcoming NFL season. Every week we're going to be doing a top 10 position within the NFL at a different position. Last week, you guys listened. If you didn't hear it, go back and watch it. We did the cornerbacks, top 10 cornerbacks going into this upcoming season. This year, we're going back this week, we're going to the offensive side and going with the tight ends this week. I will say a much harder group to grade if I have to say so myself. This was a lot harder, but I think I came up with a decent list for somebody who just who has honestly no idea outside of the top main guys. No clue. But honestly, this is why this is going to be actually a really fun position to evaluate this upcoming year, because so many guys fit into pretty much 4 through every other 4 through how many ever tight ends there are in the league. So many different names could be on this list by the end of the season for who the top 10 tight ends are. So definitely a interesting group of guys, and I hope they all learn from each other at the tight end university that a lot of those guys got to attend, which I think is really, really cool. So hopefully they're able to pick each other's brains and make that position a really, really big asset in this upcoming season. Again, we have our CBS rankings as well. It's just Toby and I for who did the rankings for tight ends this week. Couldn't get it from the other guys. So I'm going to read off the tight ends through CBS Sports first. This year was done by Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports. So shout out to him. A decent list, I'd say so myself, but like I said again, who the heck knows with this position group? So without further ado, this is his list. What he has as his top 10 tight ends heading into the 2021 NFL season. So, at number 10, he has Hunter Henry of the now New England Patriots, Tyler Higbee of the Rams, Austin. Oh, hold on. Actually, hold on. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm reading off. My mistake.
Was that 2020?
Yes, it was. I apologize. I had the wrong one pulled up here. Give me 1 second. I had it right here. Aha. My apologies. Here we go. So number 10, Mike Gesicki of the Miami Dolphins. Hunter Henry, still of the New England Patriots. Noah Fant of the Broncos at 8. Dallas Goedert, number 7 of the Eagles. Mark Andrews, number 6 of the Ravens. TJ Hawkinson, number 5 of the Lions. Kyle Pitts, number 4 of the Atlanta Falcons, though newly accounted rookie. Number 3, Darren Waller of the Raiders. You have George Kittle at number 2 of the 49ers, and of course, it should be a resounding number 1 for our boy right here in Kansas City. Number 87, Travis Kelce, taking the top spot. So shout out to my guy there. I think you went first last time, so I'm going to read off my list this time. So mine, a little different. A lot of similar names, but a little different. So my number 10, I had Noah Fant of the Broncos. At number 9, I had Hunter Henry of the Patriots. At 8, I had TJ Hawkinson of the Lions. At 7, Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. New name alert here, actually was not even on the CBS list at all. Number 6, I have Jonnu Smith of the Patriots. At 5, I have Dallas Goedert of the Eagles. 4, Mark Andrews of the Ravens. 3, Darren Waller of the Raiders. 2, George Kittle. And at number 1, Travis Kelce, the KC boy.
Wow. Yeah, so we're going to have very different lists this week.
Like it.
After being near the same on cornerbacks, I'm going to go ahead and sort of rip a Band-Aid off. I did not rank Kyle Pitts in my top 10, although I believe he's a top 10 talent. I made it a rule with myself that because this is entering the season, that I didn't really know how to rank rookies, so you won't be seeing rookies on my top 10 list. Kyle Pitts, if anybody was going to be on this list, a position list, it was going to be this man. And by the end of the season, I think he'll no doubt be a top 10 tight end in terms of numbers. And so I just wanted to rip that off right away. Kyle Pitts, not my top 10, only because I'm not putting rookies. So without further ado.
Don't hate him because of his age.
I'm not hating. I know he's going to be a beast. This is just going into the year, what we know. And that's why I went number 10 with a pretty familiar face. I went with Jonnu Smith of the Patriots. I put him at number 10. I'm excited to see how he works in the system. Obviously, part of a 2 tight end system now, and one where we don't really have a running back that's going to get 300 carries a season. So I'm very excited to see what he does there. At 9, I had Dallas Goedert of the Eagles, sort of moving into that Zach Ertz role. He's got so much potential. I love his potential. At number 8, I have Rob Gronkowski of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's old. He's injury prone, and I get that. Yeah. But numbers-wise, 600 yards, 7 touchdowns was a big weapon in the postseason. And I mean, I gotta show respect to him as a biased fan and supporter. At number 7, I have Hunter Henry for the Patriots. If this guy can stay healthy, he's a touchdown vulture. I like what he brings. At 6, I've got Mike Gesicki of the Dolphins, just like Goddard, unlimited potential. At 5, I have TJ Hawkinson of the Lions. Mostly, I love his talent. Also, he's going to be the number 1 option on his team, as the Lions have a very, very below average receiving core. So Hawkinson will get a ton of looks. At 4, I've got Mark Andrews of the Ravens. Lamar's security blanket, great pass catcher, good run blocker. At 3, Darren Waller, you know the guy, the only guy that almost kept up with Kelsey statistically last season. At 2, George Kittle, the founder of Tight End U. And number 1, obviously, Travis Kelce. Not even a debate. Nobody can debate it. Travis Kelce, hands down, easily the best tight end in football.
I would have to agree. 100% have to agree with that. I guess so. The biggest name I think that would be you would say would be missing from mine, obviously, is Mike Gesicki. It was very hard. I had to leave off somebody, and I think Gesicki was my 11. So I think for me, you could easily move Noah Fant out and put Gesicki there. I think I just need to see him more with Tua. I think I have nothing against him. I just think that they could use a little bit more chemistry overall, and that's nothing against him really. Just me personally, I think I've seen what Noah Fant has done in kind of an offense that's been, iffy to say the least, and he's been pretty good. Especially at a lot of those, all those young guys they have on that offense. He's kind of been the steady one so far, in my opinion. So I think Noah Fant kind of got the nod there. Jonnu Smith's very high on my list, not even on the CBS list at all. And that one, the 2021 version was actually done by Jordan Dejani, so I want to give a shout out to him. Cody did it last year. But Jonnu Smith, not even on the CBS guys. He's your number 10?
Mm-hmm. My number 10.
He was number 6 for me. Obviously, I may be a little biased as he's a former Titan, but I have seen him up close, and I think a lot of his work goes unnoticed in the blocking game. I think he's going to be very good for when the times that the Patriots do run the ball, and he's obviously a tight end. He's a red zone machine. He just can't not find the end zone. And like you said, he was on the offense that ran the ball with the one individual man 300 times. And then on top of that, they have a Pro Bowl receiver in A.J. Brown. And on top of that, they also had Corey Davis go for over 900 yards last year as well. And he still found himself in, I believe, the top 3 in touchdowns for all tight ends. So, I mean, this is a guy who can put in work. He can block when you need him to. Contributes to blocking for a minute for over 2,000 yards. He can score touchdowns with the best of them while not receiving the same amount of touches. So for me, he got a high score in my book. And then I know I've really debated it, really debated it, but I had to put Kyle Pitts on there. That's my boy. I don't want to come off as biased because that's my guy, but I just look at – I mean, he's easily a top 10 talent. And, I mean, he just – how can you not? How can you not? I'm so excited to watch him play. It's unfortunate that he plays for Atlanta because I feel like his efforts are going to go to waste. So it does not matter. But, yeah. No, I'm excited to see what he can do.
I definitely am as well. I sort of had that own personal struggle. What we talked about beforehand, was I going to put a rookie on my list without having seen him play,
I know.
At a single NFL game. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I obviously aligned myself more with the guys that I've seen been there do that. Why Gronkowski made the list. But, yeah, I mean,
Gronk didn't make my list. No disrespect to Gronk, but he obviously was very crucial to their Super Bowl run, but I'm sorry. He cannot
Yeah.
make
And
it.
I think for me, I think Gronk actually exceeded expectations coming back in last year, because I was expecting him to be a guy that was kind of just around, and they bring him in on obvious passing downs or stuff like that, something that would prevent him from getting hurt again. But obviously, he retired originally early because of all the injuries. He actually ended up playing the third most snaps of any tight end, the third highest percentage of offensive snaps. Yeah, put up 7 touchdowns, which was up there for all the tight ends. In fact, that's as many as Mark Andrews had in Baltimore. He's the big red zone target down there. So Gronkowski, even on a star-studded offense with weapons to go around, he did his numbers. He shows up big when it matters every time he does. So it was hard to leave him off the list, a lot out of just respect's sake. The guy's a top 3 tight end to ever play the game. So he made mine, even if he's not the Gronk of old that was the best tight end in the league. I think he still offers a ton to that Buccaneers offense, and I had to put him on there. And yeah, maybe some guys slide down if I decide to put Kyle Pitts where I think he will finish.
Yeah.
But no, I think for the most part, it's hard to go wrong with the names. There's so many tight ends that were, yeah, like you said, from 4 down, the tight ends that could have gone on. We didn't include Higbee. Neither list included Higbee. Neither list included Ertz. Ertz was 3 Pro Bowls straight, then 1 bad year, which was kind of a product of the team he played with.
Yeah.
But at 1 bad year, we dropped him all together. Evan Ingram, he made the Pro Bowl, did not even get consideration for me to be top 10.
Nope.
That's how weird the tight end position is. Robert Tonyan led the tight ends tied with Travis Kelce for receiving touchdowns by a tight end last season. Not even a consideration. So it's a weird position to try to evaluate, because
No, I'm sorry. Kelsey is not made. He's a beast on his own. Robert Tonyan was made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the numbers were impressive. I will say, the numbers were impressive, and his story of kind of being a guy that just sort of showed up out of nowhere, and then became Rodgers' top target to go to down around the goal line. Well, aside Devontae Adams, who is his only target to go to at all levels of the field. But he got Tonyan down near the goal line, which was a big help to him. But yeah, no consideration for top 10. I don't think on anybody's list would not be anywhere close. So it's really weird evaluating these guys. And even the voters have a hard time doing it. They put Evan Ingram in the Pro Bowl. Evan Ingram, he had 650 yards and only 1 touchdown last year. Well, I guess he had 2 if you include the rushing touchdown. But he had 11 drops. He drops 10% of the passes that come his way. And they voted him a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Even they have a tough time with it. So I would say, for a position that's this tough to judge, we did a good job.
No, 100% I agree. I think we did as good as we can, as well as a CBS guy. This is just so hard to predict. But with that being said, there's so many names out there. Do you have any dark horses? Again, so obviously, besides Kyle Pitts, who do you think is a name that also could sneak their way into this list by the end of the season?
I think if you're looking at it from a number standpoint, by who produces, who puts up big numbers, I like Jared Cook in the Chargers system. Obviously moved out to LA. He's going to have Herbert throwing him the ball. That's where Hunter Henry was. He's just going to sort of slide right in. And this guy Cook, he just puts up numbers year after year. He played in a system with a quarterback loved to throw the ball over the middle. And obviously they've got 2 talented receivers outside of him. But I think that'll open up a bunch for Jared Cook. I wouldn't be shocked to see him go over 700 yards, near double-digit touchdowns. So Jared Cook's a guy that I'm looking at in Los Angeles that I think still has something left in the tank and could definitely produce some pretty big numbers.
No, I agree. That's a really, really good pick. I actually have 2. Number 1, unfortunately, plays for the rival, but I think Mo Alley Cox will be very good for the Indianapolis Colts. I see him in that two tight end system with Jack Doyle, and he's the younger guy. He's taller, a guy who can really go out there and do the bulk of the catching of the passes. And he's getting Carson Wentz, a guy who's notorious for throwing. His main targets are being tight ends, and they're kind of forming a similar system into what he used back in Philadelphia. So I see him kind of being the product of what Dallas Goedert basically has become. Zach Ertz was the main guy, and then they drafted Dallas Goedert, so everyone started to guard Ertz, which led to Goddard getting open. I think Jack Doyle has the bigger name, so he's going to kind of get more attention from defenses, where that allows Mo Alley Cox to really be a dangerous threat. But he is not alone in the AFC South as a dark horse, as I'm telling you right now. He's going to laugh. He's going to laugh, but just be prepared, because my main man, Anthony Ferkser, is coming. I am telling you, he is Johnny Smith 2.0. I don't know if we put up the exact same numbers as this man, but this is a guy who did not drop a single target his way last season. 100% catch rate last season. A guy who's more of a blocker than a catcher, but fits right into the mold of what Tennessee likes to do. Lots of play action pass. When you give the ball to Derrick Henry 7 times in a row, the defense will cheat up, play action fake. Anthony Ferkser will be right there for the little drag routes across the field. I think he's going to be one of those. He's going to be those third and shorts when everyone clouds the box, and Ferkser will gain like a 30-yard pass. Like, he's going to be that type of dude who just goes off. I think he's going to get a lot of his yards in bulk. I don't see him being a guy that's going to have a 8-9 catch game for 90 to 120 yards a game. There may be some games where he has one catch for 10 yards, but there'll be those few games where he has 30 catches for 85 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, I think he's going to be a huge addition that no one's really talking about with this Titans offense that they're already really high up about. And then I think he just adds on another. He's going to be single-teamed all the time with Julio and A.J. Brown on the outsides. So that's just another element for the passing game. I'm all for it. I think Anthony Ferkser will have a very big year.
He'll definitely have opportunities. It's kind of like playing that Austin Hooper role in Cleveland, where you've got talent surrounding you all over the place. Just go out there, do your job, and you'll be solid.
Yeah. No, I think this guy didn't drop a single pass for an entire season. Granted, he didn't get thrown to all the time, but if you're catching 100% of the passes, you can't really ask for anything else.
No, 100% is as good as it can get.
Yeah, and these aren't like he didn't drop a target. Like, so it wasn't like it was an errant pass. He had 100% target catch rate last season. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what he does this upcoming year. But yeah, I think that'll do it for tight ends though. Very solid list by everyone. Again, thank you to CBS sports writer Jordan Deshani for coming up with his list. Very solid. Next week, we are going to go back over to the defensive side of the ball. We're going to be doing the defensive tackles. We're going to specifically do D tackles, so that way we can have our edge rushers for later on. So specifically, there's no Khalil Max and of those sorts in this one. We know J.J. Watts and T.J. Watts. But specifically defensive linemen, defensive tackles will be on this one. So stay tuned for that, see which big boys make it in the top 10. That also is a very wide range of guys that can be.
Yes.
There are so many names that can go on there. So, yeah, well, we have our work cut out for us to narrow down to the top 10 of all those guys. But I look forward to doing that next week as well. All right. And so with that, we're now going to transition over to our rapid fire takes, as of course, plenty of sports news out there in some of these other sports that we don't typically cover in depth, but we still have to be able to get out there and and talk about them. So without further ado, I believe we were a lot better last time. We were at like 5.5 minutes. We'll shoot for 5 minutes this week, I think. I think that'll be a good goal for us, but we'll we're doing a lot better than last time. So with that being said, I'll get us going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And with my first topic, it's going to be with the NCAA finally passing the bill allowing college athletes to profit and benefit off of their names and likeness and image. Nothing but positivity here on my end. I love it. I love that people are going out there of all sports, softball players, women's basketball players, baseball players, football players, basketball. They're all going out there making their own brands. I've seen so many different cool looking logos already, more specifically on the football side of it, but even on the women's sports side as well. I've seen some soccer players get sponsored by some of their local businesses, being able to get paid off their likeness. I absolutely love it. It was always ridiculous to me that you couldn't get paid solely because you play a sport. And then this is a wonderful thing, I think, in my opinion. And the schools aren't the ones paying these people. It's other people hiring them because of who they are, which you could always, I believe, be able to make money off of yourself if you're the ones out there making it. So big shout out to the NCAA, everyone who put this into motion, and I'm beyond happy for that.
Yep, the NCAA, they got it right. This is the beginning of good things for college athletes, and I'm very excited for the next season of college sports. What I'm also excited about this weekend, Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, Part 3. They've each won one via knockout so far. So my question is, who you got this weekend?
Poirier by knockout. Third
round knockout for Poirier. He knocked him out second round last time. He thinks Conor might fare a little better this time, but not by much.
Not by much.
No.
Third round knockout.
Hate to see it for one of the game's icons.
I'll be okay.
Our friend Conor will not.
He will not. But something I'm also okay about, getting into golf. Before I get to this, though, we did have the Rocket Mortgage Classic this past weekend. Phil Mickelson says this will be the last time that he'll ever play at this tournament after being offended by a news article that was written about him. We can get more into detail on that, but that was actually kind of a funny story. Definitely should check that out. That was the one who brought up that story up to me. Poor guy Phil over there, all in his feelings. But Cam Davis was able to win the event in 5 playoff holes after him and Troy Merritt were going back and forth for quite a while. And it was Cam Davis able to finish it out in the end. But the match took place, which featured Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady taking on Bryson DeChambeau and my boy A.A. Ron. It was a victory for my boy Aaron and Bryson, as Phil Mickelson took 2 L's in the same week. Yes, it was very exciting. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I saw bits and pieces of it, but it looked pretty entertaining. Lots of guys commenting. Lots of shots were thrown at Aaron Rodgers' way. So I'm glad. It sounded like he got the most of the banter. So I'm glad he at least was able to win the event. It was such to be kind of picked on the whole time and then also lose. So good for him, but it sounds like he took it like a champ, and I'm happy. That was a neat event. Big shout out to Tom Brady and Rodgers and everyone involved.
Yep, and not to pile on, but that moves Aaron Rodgers to 1-1 against Brady on the season. And then moving over into tennis, the Wimbledon tournament, we're down to the nitty-gritty now. The quarterfinals are set. No surprises here. We're on a crash course for Djokovic, Federer in the finals if things can hold as they are right now. The 2 seed losing in the 4th round. The 3 seed losing in the 1st round. The door is open. Federer just has to walk through it and try to prevent Djokovic from tying him for the all-time major lead. Him and Rafa Nadal. If Djokovic wins, he'd be tied at 20. And what a way to do it, to beat the king in his castle.
Well, we already had our what is you doing moment, but there is nothing worse that happened this past week than what's been going on involving these Tokyo Olympic Games. That's what we were alluding to earlier. Just an all-time low. I think to be a fan of the Olympics here in America, in my personal opinion. Sha'Carri Richardson tested positive for cannabis in her system, which then would go on to disqualify her for the upcoming relays as well as Olympic Games, as she has been put on a 30-day month ban that would prevent her from competing, as the Olympics are in just a few weeks away. Lots of people have come to her defense, as she announced via, I believe, some type of social media, Twitter or Instagram, that she smoked the cannabis due to the passing of her mother. And I have some deeper feelings about that. But in the end, she will not be playing. Running individually. Originally, there was some hope that she might be a part of a relay team, but that also was announced today that she will not be doing that either, as she was denied the chance and was not chosen for the 4x1 team to represent the USAA.
Yeah, absolutely horrible decision. Going to kind of be an asterisk next to the winner of the women's 100 meter without Sha'Carri Richardson competing. Another team that was looking for an asterisk championship, the Vanderbilt Commodores baseball team, as they took on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, an old SEC showdown for the finals, a showdown that Mississippi State won to the joy of all collegiate baseball fans and fans of purity in sports. Mississippi State winning in dominant fashion after losing the first game to a Vanderbilt team that was well rested and got to throw their number one starter, as they didn't have to actually play to get there. Mississippi State won the next game 13-2, won the clinching game 9-0. But to Vanderbilt's credit, I'm going to shout him out. Kumar Rocker, the pitcher for Vanderbilt, one of the greatest collegiate baseball players ever. His first loss in the NCAA tournament ever in his Vanderbilt career. And they go deep all the time, so he's pitching so many games. His first loss ever just so happened to be his last collegiate game ever and come in the title. So very unfortunate for him to go out. But Mississippi State, first national championship in anything. First team national title in any sport for the Dogs. So feel great for them. And that is a wrap from Omaha. The Oma Dogs getting it done.
Yep. We'll stop our time here. You don't even want to know what the time is.
I believe I do not.
But it's okay. We still covered quite a bit. Also, with that little shout-out to Mississippi State, as that was their first championship in anything, it now leaves only 2 collegiate teams to never win a national championship in literally anything. One is Virginia Tech, a school that we don't have too much to say about. And, you know, Virginia Tech, they're neutral, whatever. The other is Kansas State. And I did not know that till they put that graphic up for Mississippi State. Kansas State has never won in anything. That is so bad. I don't want to I didn't come on this show to intentionally shame Kansas State, but man, you are now one of 2 teams. So it is a race between you and Virginia Tech, who will be the only collegiate teams across American collegiate sports to not have a national championship in anything ever.
Well, amongst the Power 5 teams.
Oh, okay. It was just Power 5.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
God. Well, I guess that makes sense. Some smaller schools.
Yeah.
But that's still bad.
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty devastating.
K-State,
but
Virginia Tech, y'all gotta get into gear.
And it's pretty wild too, because those are 2 teams that really, regardless of the sport, they're never that bad. You never feel like either of those teams are like just horrible.
Worse, yeah.
Yeah, what are they? The Pacers of college sports? Always there in the middle.
Well, no, because even then the Pacers try to claim that those ABA championships. They don't even have those.
Oh, yeah, and if Kansas State played in D2, they'd have every championship in the Bucks. So.
Yeah, that's like them claiming that.
All right, no, I'm sorry. The ABA is not that bad. But
I mean,
you know what I mean. If Kansas State played FCS football, they'd have
rules
won
were
some
a lot
championships.
different, and certain group of players weren't even playing back then. So it is kind of bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not counting it. So
nor am I. But you know what I am counting? I'm counting the hours that we will get to finally know who is going to be in the final for the European Championship, as we had a thriller game today to get you guys caught back up. So my team, Belgium, I wanted them to go all the way. They did not make it past the quarterfinals. So we originally got you guys, I believe, caught all the way up through the round of 16. Spain was able to advance on penalties, beating Switzerland to advance to the semifinals. Italy took out Belgium 2-1. Denmark also won 2-1 over the Czech Republic, and a dominating performance by England beating Ukraine 4-0, which led to our semifinal match today, with Italy winning in penalty kicks, beating out Spain 4-2 to advance to the final, and the hometown England looking to possibly end the dream run of Denmark, which started off their run with possibly one of their players losing his life live on the field, was able to revive him, and they have revived their way of playing soccer, as they are now just one win away from going to the European Championship final with a date with Italy. So that game will be played tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central Time. Definitely check that out. That will be a lot of fun to see if Italy will be playing England or the Cinderella run of Denmark. And then our other tournament we have going on as well is the Copa America, where we were currently watching earlier. Argentina was able to pull out the victory. I was able to contain my emotions there. My boy Messi getting it done, as they will now be going back to another Copa America championship, where Argentina is just notorious for losing that game. I believe they've been to 3 of the last 4 championships and have lost them all. So, but they are back. They are back. They have a date with Brazil after beating Colombia in penalties. Brazil beat Peru 1-0 to advance to the final. So those are the 2 main tournaments going on, currently constructed. You know, I really just I already know Brazil's going to win that game, but I'm happy at least Argentina was able to advance. Argentina doesn't win those games, so they're not going to get it done, unfortunately.
Well, there was somebody who said something very similar tonight as well, or perhaps it was last night. Neymar of Brazil, when asked who he was cheering for in this game, said he was cheering for Argentina. He has friends on the other side, and he knows Brazil will win that game. So pretty some pretty good trash talk going down between the 2 bitter rivals, as Neymar, throwing a little fire on the gauntlet, as they say, with some pre-match trash talk.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched the Copa Americas, I think every country down there hates each other, or at least all their national teams do, because it looks like they're about to fight almost the entirety of the game. And so when the 2 big powerhouses meet, it's going to be electric. I can't wait. The only thing that would have made it better is if there was fans in the stands. Unfortunately, COVID still, kicking butt down there in South America. Mm-hmm. But yes, a championship game, nevertheless, between the 2 big powers. Kind of what we all expected, and deep down, all kind of hoped for. That would culminate in this. And over in Europe, kind of how I saw it coming with England. Well, with England maybe facing off against Italy. I've been saying it's coming home pretty much since the tournament started, which of course is the English catchphrase. They invented soccer.
7 tournaments y'all been saying that.
They invented soccer, and for 7 tournaments it hasn't. But now they're a win away from Denmark from playing a championship game in their home arena, the National Arena, Wembley Stadium. And I'm a little bit curious about who you're cheering for in that game, because Italy's kind of given it to your 2 teams out in Europe in back-to-back games.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I'm fine with it. I have nothing against England. I'm fine with England winning. I just think it's funny they always say they're coming home and then they don't do anything at all. So they're finally doing something about that, and why not? I have quite a few players that I cheer for that play for England, so I'm fine with them winning. And I think it's I still feel somewhat kind of gypped in that Belgium-Italy game. Not so much the Spain one today. Spain was, I don't know what they were doing. They had the ball all game and couldn't create anything. Belgium, I still feel should be playing, but that is what it is. Italy's in it, and here we are. So I'm excited to watch and see. I mean, tomorrow is either the home team's going to be advancing, or you have the dream run of Denmark, which I will 100% be rooting for Denmark if they are able to advance to the finals. That would be just an unreal performance. And they did it all without their captain. So
yeah, what a run it's been for them. But as for myself, hoping it comes to a close tomorrow. They've had a great run. They've got nothing to hang their heads about. But let's get it home.
We shall see. We shall see. And we're going to bring this episode home with our last segment of the day. Y'all already know. Welcome to your Creed moment. Way too many people out there trying to be Creeds or acting like Creed. Probably shouldn't be trying to. But they are doing that nonetheless. I'll go first this week. As, my Creed. And it's funny because I found out about this because of Creed. He's the one who sent, I believe he's the one who sent this in our group message. Maybe he didn't. But our good old big buddy, LeBron James. So he went home. So no, LeBron James is not my Creed. Trust me, he's never acting like Creed. LeBron James went back home for a tournament of Bronny James, his son, where obviously, he's out and about, very supportive of his son playing basketball and really of all things. But went back to his high school, which has now been named LeBron James Arena or LeBron James Court or whatever. They named it after him. And his son had a tournament back in Cleveland where he's from. And there was a PA announcer that apparently LeBron James Jr., Bronny James, was given possibly some favorable calls that might have gone his way. And the PA announcer decided that he was going to take it upon himself to point this out, which a PA announcer never really gives commentary. You just announce what exactly happened in the game. This PA announcer took it upon himself to state that Bronny James was getting shown favoritism because of who his dad was. Well, obviously you can imagine that did not make LeBron James very happy, who then had to come out of the stands, stop the game in its entirety, walk over to the guy, and tell him to knock it off. Major Creed moment for that guy. And he is a Creed because Connor is the ultimate hater. He hates anyone who's trying to have some type of success and blames it on other people when what he doesn't like to see happen, blames it on someone else. So, yeah, I don't like that LeBron James Jr. is getting that call. It's LeBron's fault. It's his fault that's happening. Get out of here. Stop being a Creed. You don't blame Bronny James. Bronny being LeBron James' son is a blessing and a curse, right? Like that, especially sharing the name of him as well. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm sure it comes with a lot of perks. You are all types of status, all types of fame. But it also comes with all eyes are on you at all times. And keep in mind, Bronny James is no older than 15. Like, bro, come on, man. He may be 16, but like, come on, man. Like, you're at a kids tournament. You don't need to be calling people out because of who their dad is, especially in the house that LeBron James built, the house that they just renamed after him. This is like he came there for that. Come on, dude. Like, come on. Not a good showing from that PA announcer. Total Creed moment.
Yeah, and double Creed because of Creed's dislike for LeBron.
Yes.
So that literally could have been Creed's moment had he been there.
Yeah. Although I don't think Connor would have necessarily had the
testicular fortitude.
I like that we went with both of those to ever say something to LeBron James like that.
No, and I think anybody who has common sense probably wouldn't say that to LeBron James.
No.
But alas, a man with no common sense got the mic that night. Look, I kept it easy on Creed this week. He brought us into the lake house. We got to spend time with his family, his sister, his mom and dad. They welcomed us in. They were so welcoming, in fact, that it started to just feel like my lake house. I just kind of made a home there. It started to feel very homey for me. That's why my Creeds of the Week go to the Atlanta Hawks and the Los Angeles Clippers, who were not only gracious hosts, but awarded another team trophies on their floor. Oh, the most gracious host. Oh, so how nice of them. How nice of Atlanta. No star player for the Bucks. They took it easy on him. Trae Young decided to shoot his worst game of the postseason. Now, to be fair, he was on one leg. But giving the Bucks the Eastern Conference trophy on their court, how thoughtful of them. And, of course, Staples Center, practically the Suns' home court through the postseason. When we think about the two series they've played there. They were so nice as to hand the Suns the Western Conference trophy on their court as Steve Ballmer looked on. And he celebrated like a real goofball doing whatever it was.
So those knee slaps and leg grabs, whatever.
And Steve Ballmer, he was there to see him through. So just to Connor's family, and to those two teams, thank you. You guys were very gracious in hosting. And like both of these teams in the finals, I expect to be back sooner than later.
Yeah.
A very fun 4th of July weekend at the lake.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. Also, what did you doing? Honorable mention goes to us for staying up how late we did, especially Friday night. That's a major what is you doing?
Yeah.
Acting like we were back in high school when we were 16 years old, could pull all-nighters like it was nothing. Man, I was feeling that when I went to work after the weekend.
Yeah.
That was rough.
I drove home Sunday and had to go to work immediately. So
yeah, that was really rough. that was horrible. I was so tired.
Yes, it was a conversation that needed to happen, but
it did.
It probably could have happened at a more reasonable hour.
Yeah, no questions about it. But no, this weekend was great. I hope everyone had a great 4th. Hope you guys were safe out there. I saw numerous stories about people's houses on fire. They say it every year, be smart, be careful, and you people still go out there and burn your houses down. Blows my mind. It blows my mind. So for all of our listeners out there, I hope you guys didn't burn your houses down. And for people who aren't listening, well, maybe you were one of those idiots who blew your house down. Probably should listen to the podcast. We advise people not to burn their houses down on this podcast. I'm going to stand firm on that. So.
Yes, sir. And, yep, in the sports world, R.I.P. Kiwi, backup goaltender for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who unfortunately passed away with a firework accident.
Yes.
Yeah. Big R.I.P. to him.
Yeah. Careful out there.
It happens on Independence Day. And, you wished it didn't, but
yeah,
I guess that's the price you pay to have fireworks, I guess.
Exploding objects.
Yeah. Now JPP, he was able to bounce back. Of course, he'll have to wear his Super Bowl ring as a necklace, but he did. He overcame.
That's funny.
So,
that's
yes.
Well,
so remember this talk now on the 6th of July, 2021, so that on the 4th of July, 2022, we don't have to talk about it anymore.
I agree. I 100% agree. In much lighter news, I want to first say happy birthday to my boy Flash. It is his birthday tomorrow. My young pup turning 3. I want to give him a shout out. Some of you probably saw him in there. I was trying to shoo him off. He was getting the camera. So shout out to him. Normally he sleep during the podcast, but he felt the need to wake up and get in the camera. So shout out to him. Happy birthday to him. And shout out to our Sporting Kansas City, who is currently in first place in the Western Conference. We are doing our thing out here. We're bringing it home.
So, that's one that's coming home for sure.
Coming home.
Yep. And I guess my final thought, I just got to throw out some congrats to NHL players willy-nilly. They announced all their awards. McDavid, MVP, no surprises. Gannon's guy won Defender of the Year, Adam Fox, for the Rangers. Defender of the Year.
Also bringing it home next year.
Well, we'll see. Monte's goalie of the night, Marc-Andre Fleury, won the Vezina Trophy, best goalie. Kirill Kaprizov, Rookie of the Year from the Wild. Rod Brindamore, quite the name there, the head coach for the Hurricanes, the Coach of the Year. So congrats to those NHL guys. I didn't want to leave NHL sad. NHL, they had a sad moment. The Stanley Cup is close to finishing, so had to give the shout out to some of those individuals in the NHL, so I didn't leave it sad. And that's all I got.
Well, I know who's not getting an award. And that's the guy who was trying to start all that massive beef with Tom Wilson. Yeah, I can't forget that.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you get no awards. You get the award for biggest douche.
Yeah, if they gave that out, he'd win it. It'd be a 2-man race between him and Brad Marchand every year. He'd have a hell of a trophy case at home, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Tom Wilson, he knows what he can do. Not a fan. But we're done. We're not going to end it on a bad sour note. Shout out to all those guys that actually won true awards out there in the NHL world. Happy for you guys. Definitely tune back in for next week's episode for 47. We're quickly approaching episode 50 here. And again, we'll be doing the defensive tackles top 10 within the NFL entering this upcoming season. NHL probably most likely, barring a miracle, will be over. We'll be getting ready to set up for the MLB All-Star break. We will know who have already won the Euros as well as Copa America. And there's one more. Then the NBA. I mean, by then we'll probably be on game 4, maybe 4 or 5, somewhere in there. So, yeah, definitely stay tuned. You're going to get all of our reactions and comments on those. I want to thank you guys for listening. This has been fun. Glad we were able to get this one in. And you guys have a great one. Like and subscribe to the video, please. Please go on YouTube, open up a tab, whatever you got to do. Subscribe, like, and subscribe, please. Thank you guys. Have a good one.